Good evening, you're watching the main news at 7:30 on ATV. I'm Britton Clennett.
And I'm Anne-Marie Sim. Here's a look at tonight's top stories.
Central government tightens security in Beijing after recent terror attacks and ahead of June 4th anniversary.
Lawmakers in heated debate about punishing those who disrupt LegCo meetings with rowdy behaviour.
Thai army says former leader Yeung safe and in talks to resolve country's problems.
Mainland police have identified 5 suspects they believe were responsible for Thursday's suicide bombing in Xinjiang, which killed 39 people and injured dozens.
This comes as security is beefed up in the capital, with Beijing declaring a 1-year crackdown on terrorism. Beijing police are making their presence felt across the capital in a show of force state media says is aimed at deterring terrorist attacks. Hundreds of officers have been deployed in the city's tourist hotspots. The entire police force has been told to remain on standby in case they're needed, and the ones already on duty are told they must be ready to reach the scene of any incident within a minute. ATV's film crew spotted some officers equipped with video cameras to film any suspicious activity. At train stations, security officials are checking bags and screening people using airport-style security clearance equipment. The clampdown in the capital comes a fortnight ahead of the 25th anniversary of the June 4th crackdown in Tiananmen Square, although that's not officially the reason for it. The security alert follows Thursday's terrorist strike in Xinjiang, which killed 39 people and left more than 90 injured. In the worst single act of violence in the recent history of the troubled region, 5 suicide bombers in 2 vehicles blew themselves up after ramming into a crowded market in downtown Urumqi. Officials have named 5 people they suspect were behind the attack. Nuramat Aplibiz, Mehmet Memtimen, Rajhimjan Mehmet, Memtimen Mamet and Ablet Abdukadir are all believed to be ethnic Uyghurs. 4 of them were said to be suicide bombers, while 1 is being held in Urumqi. Yesterday, the Foreign Ministry said it believes the culprits might have links to overseas terrorist organisations and that they were influenced by religious extremism online. It's the latest in a string of attacks Beijing has blamed on militant Islamic separatists. Just 3 weeks ago, 1 person was killed and 80 injured in a terrorist assault at an Urumqi train station. Officials have announced a 1-year crackdown on terrorism, which includes deploying armed forces in Xinjiang. State media said the anti-terror efforts will see authorities use a heavy hand to deliver a hard punch. On a visit to the region, Public Security Minister Guo Shengkun underlined the mainland's commitment to fighting extremist elements. He also inspected police tactical units on the street and attended a ceremony with other officials to mourn the victims of the attack. Pro-government lawmakers are calling for a penalty system to punish those who disrupt LegCo meetings with rowdy behaviour after the chief executive had a bun thrown at him this week.
But LegCo President Yeung says he doubts penalising lawmakers is an effective way of deterring them from throwing objects at officials in the chamber. For the first time in Hong Kong's history, the chief executive's question and answer session had to be cut short after radical lawmaker Albert Chan threw a bun at Leung Chun-ying. The radicals' rowdy protest, which also involved some abuse being yelled at Hong Kong's leader, has prompted pro-government lawmaker Wong Kwok-hing to suggest setting up a penalty system, whereby councillors who engage in extreme behaviour in the chamber get penalised. The Federation of Trade Unions legislator suggested deducting the offending lawmakers' pay or barring them from attending meetings for a certain time period as punishment. Wong believes such antics in the chamber detract attention away from the actual issues being discussed. LegCo chief Tsang Yok-sing, however, doubts that penalising elected councillors would be an effective deterrent.
I'm not sure the council has the power to impose penalties on elected members. Even if we can do so, even if penalties are imposed, I am not sure that would be an effective way to prevent the kind of actions they're supposed to deter. Because in the last analysis, it is the expectation of the people, of the general public, the expectations of the voters that really matters, that will really shape elected members' behavior. So it is always a political decision on the part of the members what kind of actions they would take within the chamber to make their points and express their views.
Democrat Emily Lau said there should be open discussion on changing LegCo's rules of procedure to cover what should happen to disruptive politicians.
If you want to deduct the salary of lawmakers or stop them from attending certain sittings or certain meetings, we have to change the rules, and there are procedures for doing it. But I think all these ideas, suggestions can be discussed and debated. And I also think that when the Rules of Procedure Committee holds its meetings, I think the meeting should be open to the public. And I think my party will be very, very cautious in approaching such means, particularly when the council is not all democratically constituted.
During Thursday's question and answer session, the LegCo president ordered People Power's Albert Chan and Raymond Chan, as well as Leung Kwok-hung from the League of Social Democrats, to be removed from the chamber because of their rowdy behaviour. But Leung refused to leave and was restrained by several security guards.
Some people have suggested, oh, why don't you get the security guards or the police to come in and manhandle the member and just take him out of the room? I don't think that is really on.
Anne Chang of the pro-government DAB party claimed that before the handover, the LegCo president had the power to exercise his own judgment and suspend a lawmaker's salary if he or she stepped out of line. But Lau poured scorn on that idea, which led to a heated exchange on the airwaves this morning. I'm sorry, I've been a lawmaker for 20-odd years now, and I've never heard of that rule, Lau said. Perhaps people have wanted to amend LegCo's rules, but I've never heard of that one before. Such rules were enacted in 1929. It's rule number 23, sections 1 to 9. You can go check it for yourself, Chung retorted. Frederick Fung of the grassroots ADPL also spoke out against lawmakers throwing projectiles at officials, saying such extreme actions should not be mixed up with filibustering. But Fung believes a lawmaker's right to filibuster should be protected. The filibustering lawmakers from pro-democracy radical groups People Power and the League of Social Democrats had hoped to use the tactic to secure a universal pension scheme and cash handouts for all Hong Kongers. After dragging on for more than 3 weeks, the debate on the budget bill finally ended last night, and lawmakers began voting on nearly 1,200 amendments. The LegCo chief hopes voting on the amendments can be completed by the 4th of June.
Police Commissioner Andy Yeung has made it clear he won't approve illegal gatherings that involve paralysing Hong Kong's business centre. Yeung stressed that the force had to maintain law and order in the city. At LegCo on Thursday, Chief Executive Yeung reiterated his stance that the Occupy Central movement is unlawful and it would be impossible for police to issue a letter of no objection, a prerequisite for any big public protest, to the organisers. The police chief denied that Leung had placed pressure on the force not to issue the letter. The police have arrested a man in Sheung Shui Wai suspected of murdering someone with a fruit knife. The suspect tried to escape but was caught after a dramatic chase early this morning. Winner Wong reports.
Police received a report of an attack in Mun Hao Chun in Sheung Shui Wai at around 11 o'clock last night. Officers arrived and found the 47-year-old victim, surnamed Liu, unconscious on the ground, with multiple knife wounds on his chest, abdomen, arms, and legs. The suspect, also named Liu, allegedly attacked the victim while he was walking towards his car after having dinner. The victim tried to get help from a nearby shop, while the attacker fled the scene. The suspect was found hiding in the back streets of the village and tried to run away. The officers ran after him and eventually caught up on the outskirts of Mun Hao Chun. Police say the suspect had bloodstains on his clothes and was carrying a fruit knife in his bag. The victim was the owner of a garage in Lok Ma Chau, while the attacker is unemployed. Both live in Mun Hau Chin and were known to have held grudges against one another for a long time. Villagers say they were often seen arguing and fighting. Tai Po's District Crime Squad is investigating. Winna Wong, ATV News.
Villagers in Ta Koo Ling protested against the government's poultry quarantine facility today, saying they weren't consulted about the project. Dozens of villagers from Ping Chey Chun sat on the road surrounding the building site, blocking traffic to the area. They want guarantees that they won't be affected if there is an outbreak of bird flu and that traffic won't become too congested due to the facility. The villagers left after talking with the police. Health Chief Ko Wing Man later appealed to the villagers for understanding and assured them the facility is designed to affect them as little as possible.
Overseas, Thailand's army says detained former Prime Minister Yeung is in a safe place and that she and other political leaders will be released after they reach common ground on solving the country's problems.
The military insists it only seized power because conflicts couldn't be solved by political means, but pointed out that it hasn't had to use force to break up any protests. Arthur Kyola reports.
Thailand's army faced the media for the first time since it seized power on Thursday. It said that recently ousted Prime Minister Yeung is in a safe place after being detained yesterday, along with leaders of political parties. She can be held for up to a week.
If we found that there is no significant link and no link at all to the conflict, and we are able to find the common ground and seek for a common understanding among those present regarding how to resolve the situation in the country, we would release them for sure.
The army insists it only seized power because it had to, and usually tries to stay out of politics.
We try to stay away from the politics. We believe that political conflict should be solved by using political means or political measures. However, it didn't work. That's why we have to be here.
The army also promised that although it can use all kinds of measures to deal with protesters, it will only take necessary action.
Under this Martial Law Act, we are allowed to use all kinds of coercive measures to deal with the protester, but as mentioned earlier, that we enforce only some section in the law.
A tiny anti-coup rally was held in Bangkok. 100 or so protesters voiced their opposition to the military's move outside a shopping center. They want the military out of office and called for elections. Organizers said they plan to hold more protests every day the military is in power. But some soldiers arrived and the protests soon broke up. This woman complained that they weren't allowed to speak their minds and accused the soldiers of being brainwashed. But there were signs of things returning to normal elsewhere in the city, following months of street protests. Aside from dispersing protesters, the military has banned gatherings of more than 5 people, censored the media, and imposed a 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew. Soldiers have been keeping close watch on roads, leading in and out of the capital. Cleaning staff cleared up the area where red-shirt protesters had camped out before being kicked out yesterday. Arthur Urquiola, ATV News.
Still to come on ATV's main news, at least 8 people dead in landslides and floods in Guangdong province.
And football fans prepare for an all-Madrid showdown in the Champions League final.
Elemental Evolution, ATV Miss Asia Pageant 2014 is now inviting applications. You don't have to go to Japan, you're already there. Follow Begin Japanology into the world of Japanese culture. Experience the traditional and modern life. Reveal the pursuit of romance and perfection. Every angle presents a unique Japan. Begin Japanology, tonight at 8:30.
I'm in love! You're really not!
Crazy things happen when a man's in love.
Oh! I just took a picture of both of us!
I need one of you to help me with a very special assignment, using these hangers.
More crazy things happen when a man's jealous. This time, everything's out of control.
I'm in love with Liz Lemon.
What?
And her laugh. Her walk.
As love knocks on the door. 30 Rock, tonight at 10.
Hong Kong Dragon Boat Carnival. June 6th to 8th at the East Chim Sa Choi waterfront. Let's all enjoy the excitement. Please use public transport and follow police instructions.
Elemental Evolution. The ATV 2014 Miss Asia pageant is about to start. Ladies, come and show the world your beauty.
The ATV 2014 Miss Asia pageant, waiting for your participation. Come and join us now.
Elemental Evolution, ATV Miss Asia Pageant 2014 is now inviting applications.
At least 8 people have been killed in severe landslides and floods following days of heavy rain in Guangdong province.
And in other news from the mainland, Taipei has expressed shock at yesterday's bus accident in Fujian province, in which at least 7 Taiwanese tourists were killed. There was chaos as rescue officials tried to pull survivors from a bus which toppled into the Julong River in Fujian province at around noon yesterday. The bus carrying 26 passengers, most of them Taiwanese tourists, was travelling from Hua'an to Xiamen in heavy rain when it fell through a bamboo forest and plunged into the river. Several people were killed while others are still missing and feared dead. More than a dozen were rushed to hospital with injuries. Taiwanese President Ma Ying-jeou said he was greatly concerned about the incident and said his government would monitor the situation in case any assistance is required. Over in Guangdong province, several people became trapped and died after rain triggered a landslide in Heping County in Heyuan City. The province has been battered by some of the heaviest downpours in decades, causing flooding in many areas. Qingyuan City was one of the worst hit areas. Some 1,400 people became stranded after water inundated their villages. Local officials and soldiers have joined in the rescue operation. Further west, a handful of people were injured when a 5.6 magnitude earthquake shook parts of Yunnan province at around 4:45 this morning. The epicenter, at a depth of 12 kilometres, was close to the mountainous Kaoyang town in Yingjiang, which is on the border with Myanmar. The tremor damaged homes and brought down power lines, causing blackouts in some areas. As part of the relief effort, local officials have set up tents and arranged beds for those affected.
Overseas again, the Pope has arrived in Amman, Jordan, his first stop on a whirlwind tour of the Middle East. Pope Francis is said to be on a delicate mission to bring peace to the region through interreligious dialogue. According to his itinerary, after Jordan, he'll visit Bethlehem in the state of Palestine, then Israel. Francis is travelling with a Muslim and a rabbi, which is said to underscore his conviction that all 3 faiths can live together in peace and harmony. Every move he makes on the 3-day trip will be watched closely for any political significance.
Anti-government demonstrations turned violent once again in Turkey, with police firing rubber bullets and smoke grenades into crowds of hundreds of protesters.
But first, now look at international news. At least 20 people, mostly civilians, have been killed in a rebel attack in Syria. Arthur Kyola reports.
The attack happened in the southern Syrian province of Daraa, when rebels shelled a tent being used for election campaigning. Among the dead were 11 civilians, including a child. At least 30 others were seriously injured. The attack comes ahead of next month's election, where President Bashar al-Assad is set to win a third 7-year term. An anti-government rally in Turkey descended into chaos, with protesters hurling stones and firecrackers at police. The police responded with rubber bullets and smoke grenades. The violence broke out in several districts in Istanbul, following the deaths of 2 people in clashes. One was shot in the head by a stray bullet on Thursday and died overnight, while a second was killed by a homemade grenade. The clashes come almost a year after nationwide protests, which challenged Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan's decade-long rule. Secret Service police in the U.S. arrested a naked man who tried to enter the White House. After being denied entry, despite insisting he had an appointment with the president, the man stripped down to only his socks before being tackled to the ground. He was then wrapped in a blanket and taken to hospital with minor injuries. The nude intruder was later charged with assault and indecent exposure. Also in the U.S., the Pentagon says it has seen some small-scale movements of Russian troops on the border with Ukraine.
We have seen continued activity of preparations for departure of some units, not all. We have seen the movement of some units, not all. And I would remind you that there still remains a very sizable force along that border. Tens of thousands of soldiers still remain. So while we do see some movement, it's too soon for us to to say that this is the wholesale withdrawal that President Putin had ordered.
Russia has said it would move its forces to regions near the border ahead of Ukraine's presidential election tomorrow. The U.S. estimates that some 40,000 troops have been deployed there. Arthur Ricchiola, ATV News.
Time now for sports with Raymond Yeung.
And football fans will be glued to their TV sets tonight.
Well, that's right. Some say it's even more important than the World Cup. For the first time ever, 2 teams from the same city will fight for European glory as Atletico and Real Madrid prepare for a showdown in Lisbon. Touted as one of the most anticipated Champions League final in recent years, the All-Madrid clash between Real and Atletico will also be the first ever derby on Europe's biggest stage. After claiming the Spanish title last week, Atletico hope they can go a step further tonight and become kings of Europe. They're only making their second final appearance, having come up short against Bayern Munich in 1974. But midfielder Thiago believes he and his teammates are ready.
I think it's a dream of every player. So it's not a single game. It's a very special game. So it's easy to focus, to be concentrated, because what we did in this Champions League was very special, and we want to end with a title.
But 2 of their best players will be game-time decisions. Both Diego Costa and Arda Turan limped up in their tie against Barcelona last week, and coach Diego Simeone said their fitness will be closely monitored. Even if the pair do suit up, Atletico are still considered underdogs against their cross-town rivals. That's evident just from their fan bases. Real were cheered on by hundreds of supporters as they went from their hotel to the Estadio da Luz for their one and only chance to inspect the pitch. All eyes will be on hometown favourite Cristiano Ronaldo, who began his career in Lisbon. Coach Carlo Ancelotti is no stranger to the tournament. He's won it 4 times with AC Milan, twice as a player and 2 more as manager. But he can accomplish something special with a win tonight for La Decima, Real's 10th European title.
Everyone knows how important it is for Real Madrid, this competition, and my job is to do the best. I said this at the first day that I was here, to do the best to help this team to win this competition. And we are very close.
While over 150 million football fans are expected to watch the game tonight on their TV sets, Others who were lucky to get their hands on a ticket made their way to the Portuguese capital. The 9-hour train journey might sound grueling, but obviously not for these fans. While some snapped up souvenirs before the final, others chose to support their team in an unusual way. This priestess in Barcelona is offering the axe of fire to Atletico's warriors in the voodoo ritual. Lourdes Kumba said she read from the cards that Real would be winners, so she decided to lend her support. But no matter which team wins in the end, there's only one destination for the trophy: Madrid. Wild celebrations are expected in the city center throughout the night, offering locals a distraction from austerity and recession. New world #1 Adam Scott was among the struggling top players at the Crowne Plaza Invitational in Texas. After leapfrogging Tiger Woods to become the world's top golfer on Monday, the Australian avoided an embarrassing early exit after barely making the cut with a timely recovery on the back nine. Scott now trails leader Bryce Garnett by 6 strokes with a 1 under 139 at the halfway stage. American Jim Furyk also had a rough time, missing an eagle here at the 10th. He's 3 strokes behind Englishman Brian Davis, who's tied at 4th with 135. And a look at the weather before we go. The rain finally eased and gave way to plenty of sunshine today. Temperatures range from 25.9 to 31.5 degrees, while the relative humidity was between 73 and 94%. Winds were moderate, coming in from the southeast. Let's check on the ultraviolet reading. The maximum recorded for the day was 9. Tomorrow's UV index will be around 11. Now for a look at the weather in the region. A trough of low pressure that has been affecting Guangdong is now replaced with a subtropical ridge, bringing fine weather to the region. And now the satellite images. It's generally fine over the coast of southern China and the northern part of the South China Sea. Here's what we can expect over the next few days. Fine and hot tomorrow apart from isolated showers in the morning. Temperatures will range from 27 to 32 degrees. Even hotter on Monday with a high of 33 degrees, and sunny conditions should remain for the most of next week, although showers are expected. And here are the latest pollution readings under the Air Quality Health Index. General stations are at 2 to 3, meaning the health risk is low. Roadside levels are at 3 to 5, and the health risk is low to moderate. Finally, here's weather around the world.
That's our main news for Saturday night. We'll have an update in an hour. I'm Britton Clennett.
I'm Raymond Yeung.
And I'm Anne-Marie Sim. Thanks for watching ATV. Good night.
Good night.
Coming up, Super Cameras 3. Late news. Sunday night at 10. Love it? Say it. Discover the latest and the hottest trends in Japan. Feel the pulse of the vibrant and fabulous culture. JP Time TV. Every Sunday night at 6:25. Hot topics of our time. Key issues of the day. From different perspectives of comprehensive views. The forum. The news. The discussion. Check in current news. Newsline. Sunday night at 8. Find out Britain's top antiques enthusiast. To be one step closer to becoming an antiques master. Contestants are eager to show their talents. Now, the competition starts. Series 1, Monday and Tuesday night at 10. Be cool. Keep updated with the international music scene. Warner Music Power Station, Thursday night at 10. An awesome trip worldwide starts now. Dare to adventure Mongolia? Extreme cold makes the trip harder than ever, but it's always full of life on this fascinating steppe. Taking an extraordinary journey to the capital city of Korea. Discovering the traditional treasures in fast-growing Seoul.